Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, we are going to have today's talk. This will be the 8th talk in the series. May everyone give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. So ime pancha nivarane pahaya cetaso upakkilese panya dubbali karane vivicceva kame vivicceva aksasalehi dhammehi savitakkang savicarang vivekajang piti sukhang patamajhanang upasampajya viharati iti. Dear Dhamma friends, along this particular sutta, namely the Ganaka Moggallana Sutta, you find in the Majjhima Nikaya, we have tried to understand the basic theme, Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada. That is gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual improvement, upliftment. And for that, Buddha has given a survival kit, or the instrument that you should have in your traveling bag. And after explaining one after the other in a gradual process, the Buddha so far has given the way, given the path how to do away with these obsessional kind of defilements. That is to say, towards the success of Samadhi Sikha, the training towards the concentration. When and where someone is successful, Pancha Nivarane Pahaya, that particular person may understand the impediments or the particular disturbance from the 5 hindrances. So, when and where they are available and disturbing, he or she knows this is disturbing, and when and where to overcome, knows. So that means have a certain amount of mastery on the 5 hindrances and cetaso upakkilese. There's another set of upakkilese, that means kind of perversions in our mind, cheating conditions where one may get trapped into. So therefore one has to be acquainted about them. It is very difficult to teach and discuss as far as you are in the sense sphere, as far as you are in the pleasure principles or maximizing the pleasure or sense indulgence, where its general fact it says, if you are doing business you have to lie, or if you are living in a day-to-day household life, at least white lies are necessary. That is the way compromise we do in our day-to-day life. So therefore, these very subtle, these conditions are not considered as norms in our day-to-day life. But when and where you develop certain amount of skillfulness or ability to do away with these 5 hindrances, you are reaching another sphere in the mind development, and there you have to acclimatize into or adjust into place where your refinement must be much more subtler. And when we are doing there, you understand some kind of a cheating nature in our defiled mind. When and where you go into this subtle sphere, the clarity towards this cheating nature, perverted natures become very clear. So one has to very carefully or sympathetically understand with this kind of perversions only we are maintaining our day-to-day life, so to say. But if you are, when we are going to the spiritual sphere, you understand you have to reconsider about them. You have to think twice about them. And according to the Theravada tradition, they have understood 10 such the traps or places where obviously or with the face value, definitely you will select the wrong path or wrong thing as the correct or correct thing as the wrong. So these things you have to master through practice. Of course, books are trying the best, or commentators going to give their up to the best introducing. And in the Visuddhimagga they have mentioned 10 upakilesas, jnana, obhasa, piti, passaddhi. Like that jnana, that means kind of a quick understanding or sparks in the way, on the way, and appear like very far-sighting or foresighting, quick jnana, or sometimes you get light perception, obhasa, and sometimes you get rapture, and sometimes you get very serenity. These kind of things happen. When and where they come alone, our mind, specifically the untrained mind, going to get attached with them, and therefore ultimately that very achievement itself will be an impediment unless otherwise you know how to tackle them. So therefore they have to come, they are coming, because you are in the Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada. So when and where it happens, you get excited. Due to the novelty, you leave aside the Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada. You get possessed with or obsessed with this kind of new achievement. So under such circumstances, you have to be very patient. And learning about this upakilesa is only one method, that is trial and error method. So more and more you acquainted with them, you will understand. You must be very patient. You must be very balanced in your mind in order to get rid of them. And commentators, they say, it is happening for meritorious, successful yogis. And when and where it happens, they overestimate their practice and ultimately think now everything is finished, and ultimately due to their overestimation, they go into the wrong calculation, overestimation, and ultimately their spiritual life will be ruined. So these upakilesas, due to these upakilesas, it says the best thing is to practice under a teacher, teacher out of compassion do different methods, different tactics in order to bring the disciple into the correct path. So this is the way the upakilesas are going to work. Otherwise it is panya dubbalikarane. The progress will be hindered. So in this phrase that what I quoted today, the Buddha mentioned that ime pancha nivarane pahaya cetaso upakilese panya dubbalikarane. This indicates when and where you are using this survival kit, when you are using this tactic, the mind come up to a spacious place or kind of a relief. When it is happening, you can train it according to the Samatha method in the materialistic jhanic experience, first to the fourth jhana. And when it is happening, each and every jhanic experience giving more and more frictionless path. And therefore that training, which some people say it was available even before the Buddha, but with due care towards this upakilesa, this is, you can say, Buddha so refined up to the fourth jhana, that is the materialistic sphere. And when you come, you get more and more spiritual life and more at-home feeling space. But in order to have that kind of an acquaintance, you need the background also. You have to be in the forest atmosphere, or under a tree, or in a secluded place, or the place which is not much acquainted with people with sensuous pleasure. So that is how you can maintain these jhanic experiences. And if you know how to take their advantageous side and not to get obsessed with this kind of thing, definitely they are helpful. But according to the, if I am to going back to the Suddha Vipassana or bare insight method, I would like to call by name Maha Achan Sobana. He contemplate upon this. Today's way of life is very hectic, multitasking under such circumstances. Even if you earn this kind of jhanic experiences, can someone expect the surrounding which is conducive for this maintenance of the jhanic experience, the maintenance of the very thing you have earned. With that respect only, he compromised to the minimum, bare minimum necessity for the next step. So there he compromised to the access concentration rather than the absorption, and with that leading forward. And once a person come up to that level, that means understanding pragmatic and practical advantageous situation of his sila sikha, that is moral training, and samadhi sikha, the Buddha is now calling that particular person as Seka. Seka means that he is now ready to undertake serious wisdom training, higher training. So the Yeteko Brahmanas Bhikkhu Sekho now is either maintaining this jhanic experience, or he has the ability to go into the jhanic experiences when and where necessary, at least into the up to this access concentration. And then the Buddha says, these conditions that you have already earned, that is to say Sila Sikha and Samadhi Sikha, are really worthwhile, appreciable status, and if you wish, you can invest them on the Panya Sikha or wisdom training, and whenever it is successful, you will go to the destiny that you are expecting. And that area, the wisdom training part, not much detail you find in this particular sutta. So I thought of taking little time how to make use this how to make use the Sila Sikha and Samadhi Sikha for this wisdom training, for this Panya Sikha. So in the early few days, we had a question. Bhante, can you please explain this training of the fabrication of the mind and the volitional activities with respect to the Anapanasati Sutta? So I postponed the question, and today I will therefore, to satisfy that question also, as well as to give some elaboration, I would like to quote Anapanasati Sutta. Anapanasati Sutta is almost like Satipatthana Sutta. They are the true or with single object of in-breath and out-breath, or mindfulness on the in-breath and out-breath. Buddha teach the whole path up to the final liberation, whereby the Kayanupassana section, that is the mindfulness or contemplation of the body, on the body, how to use Anapanasati, that is very common. Exactly the Satipatthana Sutta and the Anapanasati Sutta goes parallelly. This part we have already mentioned, but for the sake of completion or sequence, I would like to mention when and where one is made up his or her mind, go into a forest, or under a tree, or go to a secluded place, solitude, and so sato vasasati, sato pasasati. First and foremost is to be mindful on in-breath and out-breath. That is the way you get acquaintance. You get the first glimpse, association with the in-breath and out-breath. When and where that breath become somewhat acquainted, he or she try to see the qualities of this in-breath and out-breath. So the Buddha take time to explain. When and where you sit, immediately you find a longer breath because your activity is now slowly calming down, and it was maybe after walking meditation. So still you have longer in-breath and out-breath. There you can feel the gushing and rushing sensation of the air column on your nostrils, and there you can see the length in terms of the time period this is rubbing against the walls of the nostrils. So when and where it is coming into a proper track, when and where your mind, your body is settling down, when and where your mind is gearing towards that, the breath becomes shorter. It is the best situation, under best circumstances, breath becomes shorter. That means subtle. So now you understand the difference between not only the in-breath and out-breath, but in-breath to in-breath also changes happens. Out-breath to out-breath also changes happen. That means settling down happens. So that you clearly note. That means now you have developed the acquaintance with the breath in 3 consecutive stages. Just be aware of the breath, and then aware of the long in-breath or out-breath, and then aware of the short in-breath and out-breath. And now that means it's worth calling you are face to face with the breath. So that means you have kind of a assurance in this sitting, I may manage to maintain the breath maybe 20 cycles without distraction, maybe or without distraction 15 to 20 minutes or seconds. Likewise, the predictability come into being. Or otherwise, if it is going to go astray, going to be wandering, you know how to take it back and how to keep. That means you have some credibility and confidence. When and where it happens, now the Buddha says, Sabba kaya patisangvedi asasi samiti sikkati, Sabba kaya patisangvedi pasasi samiti sikkati. So under such circumstances, try to see the breath right from the beginning through the middle to the end. So this is happening in the next stage. So you have to understand, after you become acquainted with the breath, only you are trying to apply this analytical mind and amplified way of observation. When it is happening, you see each and every breath, whether it is out-breath or in-breath, they are starting from very subtle point and then become rough, gross and gushing through your nostrils and again ceases to exist. This is the wave pattern in the in-breath and out-breath. So you keep on observing. If, for example, if you have no any distractions, more and more you practice passambayang kaya sankarang asasi samiti sikkati. The breath, the wave, amplitude of the wave slowly reducing. So this is a very good sign. The mind, the breath, your body, everything is settling down. This is the maximum of Kayanupassana. And in Anapanasati Sutta, categorically, word by word, Buddha says, these 4 come under the Kayanupassana, that means contemplation on the body, Or otherwise, you take the breath as the representative of the materiality, and you focus upon that, and now you observe the calming down and settling down, subtle breath, and so much so, you are in Kayanupassana. And there is no special task that yogi has to change into the Vedananupassana or change into the Vipassana or anything. While this is happening, after so much of practice, you are trying to feel little bit of goosebumps, here and there muscle dance, here and there cold spots, bubbles, hot bubbles, needles running up and down and crawling animals like. Some things are going to happen. So If you are so concerned about your body and the life, you will get excited. But if you are ready to go forward, these things appear like a very little here and there localized events. Ultimately, whole body going to get like electric shocks or waves like, and this thing, amidst of subtle breathing, or in the sense, breathing sensation or perception is dwindling off, and meanwhile these kind of same signs and signals going to come, and ultimately the rapture and the waves and overwhelming kind of gladness, joy going to arise. So this is the indication. Now your attention is slowly going to the feelings, that is Vedanānupassana, and when it is happening, if you are going to lose the sight of in-breath and out-breath, maybe due to the fear or maybe due to the attraction, your shifting will be disturbed. So even though this kind of little changes in your body thing happens, best thing is to keep your attention with the tapering off, dwindling off breath. So naturally, or in a healthy way, you can understand while you are focusing sharply on the top of your lip or in the end of your nostril, you are bound to feel the many things are happening in the body, but it's a very good indication. Nothing of them are unbearable, but they are strange, unexpected. But when you keep on fine, ultimately going to end up with a comedy rather than a tragedy. But if you are going to question each and every one, and if you have any doubt what to note, that each and everything means hampering or disturbing your progress, so no one has gone without mistakes. So therefore in the discussion, one day you will understand these are good things, but not to get worried about, not to make a point to slow down your progress. So after so much of trial and error, one day you will understand while they are happening, while the joy arising, you try to keep the subtle attention on the side, the calming down or disappearing breath. When if it is happening, ultimately it is going to be a joy, ultimately become the pleasure, and you feel the whole body is now giving its full support, and you can go to, and the breath is almost unperceivable, but you can feel the whole body as a lump of feelings, and there is nothing disturbing you or unbearable. So chitta sankhara parisanvedi, you feel each and every thought moment is nothing but feelings and perceptions. Your closed eyes, attention or inward training, inward going is happening. So experience each and every moment. It's like a beehive, little disturbed. They are not completely scattered, but they are not completely in a hive. But they are disturbed, but moving in the same place. So therefore, when you are doing, you understand chitta sankhara. That means Vedana and Sanya. And that is also something novelty, because you are no more experiencing any kind of a materiality. Each and every material phenomena represent in terms of feelings, in terms of perception. And there may be some kind of a novelty, kind of a unpreparedness and unseasoned situation. So there the Buddha says, just like with the in-breath and out-breath, let it calm down. That is another training. The best thing you can do is doing nothing. That is the advice one has to give. Things are happening, don't get involved due to the momentum of the mindfulness and the concentration. So now everything appear like a flux. Everything appear like a moving beehive, and you have to calm down. When it is calming down, that is the point that you are, according to the Anapanasati Sutta, shifting from Vedananupassana to Chittanupassana. You feel that everything is now mind-made. Nothing you do, but you are totally or full vigilantly or diligently observe it, and you see things are happening, and as if everything is mental now. There is nothing you can call as something materialistic. So, commentator says this is the jhanic experience or fourth jhana experience. Breath completely stopped, but still you are totally living, fully vigilant, fully diligent, and doing nothing. So it is being chitta parisangvedi asasi samiti sikkati, chitta parisangvedi passasi samiti sikkati. So that means you are totally in the immaterialistic kind of pleasure or renunciated kind of pleasure. So it takes long time for you to acquainted with, be familiar with, and the moment you season it, the mind get kind of a rapture, kind of a pleasure. Abhippamodhayan chittam asasi samiti sikkati, abhippamodhayan chittam pasasi samiti sikkati. In Vipassana way it says, sunyagaram pavittassa santachittassa bhikkhuno amanusi rati hoti passanto udayabhya. Whenever the monk gone into a solitude place and he see this flux, everything appearing to disappear, and when you are observing, it is explained as amanusi rati. You can't have that kind of a rapture or pleasure in the human world. It is superhuman because it costs nothing, no maintenance, it's just a walkover. And this abhippamodhayan chittam, mind becomes so engrossed in this kind of a pleasure. So this is a kind of a gift, it's a kind of a thing. You find whenever the mind becomes geared with the practice, and then you have to train yourself throughout your samsara, throughout your life. You were behind pleasure principle, searching about the happiness, but due to the partial knowledge, with the lack of understanding, you search happiness through forms, colors and shapes through eye. And you searched happiness through sounds, through your ears, and smells through the nose, tastes through the tongue, and the very expensive luxuries through your tactile sensation or daydreaming. But now you see the highest happiness you can get when and where these things are not available. Completely away from them is happening. So how to adopt into? How to accept it? This is kind of a view. Pragmatically you have to let the mind to imbibe and experience it, and let it completely, slowly renunciate from the eye and the visual of forms, ear and the sounds, nose and the smell, tongue and the taste, and body and the tactile sensation, and mind be calm and detached. And then that exercise, or we have to use the term exercise, is known as just fully appreciating and not disturbing it, samadhāṃ cittā, and there you understand, as far as your rational mind is active, domineering, it always ignores only the materialistic pleasure. So it is pulling yourself, pulling your mind, pulling your mindfulness, pulling your meditation to this known area mixed up with this materialistic pleasure, or that is called household pleasure. And therefore, if you understand and appreciate this kind of a thing, you have to slowly get rid of them with quantity and quality. So therefore, that vimochana, getting rid of this, is called going against the grain. Because so far, all our disciplines, all our skillfulness, all our associations, all our future plans, everything we were think in terms of materiality. But now you are lucky enough to see another option. When and where you free from this materiality, you have kind of a inalienable, unalloyed contentment or kind of a satisfaction. And now it's a weighing and wrestling between these two. So when it is happening, the Buddha says, now your consciousness, no more getting fertilizer, no more getting food through transgressional kind of defilements. Because you are already restrained from the sila sikha. And there it can't find any place or footage or foundation from the obsessional kind of defilements. You have done away with it. So therefore now it has only the categorically yancha cheteti, yancha pakappeti, yancha anuseti, arambana metang hoti viññānasatitya. So whatever you have future plans or fabrications, daydreaming, story making, these are the only food for the capitalize. Or your creative thinking, your productivity so-called. Think about the advancement. This may be another shade or your underlying tendencies. So Chetana Sutta or Dutiya Chetana Sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha says, you are so skillful, so no hope regarding the transgressional area or obsessional area. Now the Vijnana is searching everywhere and do so much of propellants and so much of pushing you to either think, categorically speaking, volitional activities, fabrication, daydreaming, not the daydreaming, determination. There is one aspect. Other one is thinking, daydreaming, fantasizing about the future, and new projections, new proposals, and productivity. So these are the things. So good or bad with respect to this situation is, now your mind is not much of obsessional, so therefore it is so prolific. Very clear area, as if you get a very big drawing board, enough pencils, enough erasers, and comfortably you can put all your ideas in the drawing board and you keep on doing. So this is much appreciated in the Western world of meditation. They wanted to make the mind free from, maybe categorically, from the obsessional kind of defilements, transgressional kind, but they wanted to have this creativity. They wanted to have this inquiring mind. And they think, now this is the time for you to come out with a lot of proposals, how to get rid of suffering from the human world, how to have the equally distributed wealth among the human beings, so how to make all people morally integrated, and anything can happen. So in the later commentators, they have given 6 kind of thinking or channels can happen, and it is very subtle, someone to understand. They all appear very benevolent, very social. But that keeps the mind mind occupied, and mindfulness will be other directed, and further development toward the wisdom will be disturbed. I don't know whether you will all agree with me, but this is what available in the canon. You can read Pansudogana Sutta. There the Buddha says when the gross thing removed, these are the little pecks and little caloloids, small particles covering the mind. That is to say, thinking about your relatives. Jnati vitakka. And you think about, came from that clan or this and this, but I got into that. What about sharing with my relatives? Or you may think about compassionate ideas about other suffering beings. Paranuddayata parisamyutta vitakka. Or anamanyati samyutta parisamyutta vitakka. So far in my meditative life, I had so much of mishaps. People came and found fault with me. In future, I lead the life reckless. And I will never get any kind of a criticism from others, no blames, likewise keep on practicing. Or otherwise you may say, by now already I have cholesterol, already I have diabetes, already I have arthritis. That is because my lifestyle was no good. My feeding habits was no good. I was not eating wholesome food. From today onward, I will definitely do yoga exercises. I will do wholesome food, and therefore I will live throughout eternal. I will never get in this kind that Amara Vitakka or Janapada Vitakka. Think about, okay, now I am well and good. We don't know what is happening in America, what is happening in the Eastern Australia, how is the things are happening, and I am cut off from the world. And you may think about what is happening or worrying about the news. So all these things, to be a citizen, you have your privilege to be with them. But now Buddha says, you as a seeker, or thinking about the advancement or wisdom training, you have to understand, these keep your mind occupied and going away from the mindfulness. And mere thinking bring nothing. And the best thing you have to do is do away with this kind of thinking. It is not a crime. Even if you do, it is not a crime. But this is the advice. Do away with this 6 kind of thinking. It's a kind of a categorization. And if you are going to do while you are at work, or you feel, or in the office, or in your the household, you are doing something wrong. No. When you have to use it, of course you have to know it first, to do it when and where you are free of obsessional kind of defilements, and you have space, and if you are expecting furtherance in this advancement, if it is so, these things appear like something dust. Very subtle, generally good, but as a yogi, that is not to be appreciated. And when and where it is happening, you keep on proliferating, keep on fabricating, keep on storytelling, that is called prapanchakarana, and your mind becomes again occupied. So when and where this is also being dealt with, you can understand there are some things happening, lot of things, physically maybe, verbally maybe, or mentally, due to the past momentum, they take place. The phenomena come into being. And you feel like you are responsible, and you feel like you are, it is addressing to you, but there is no any intention as such. They are happening due to their own momentum. And at that moment, these things come to disappear by its own accord. But if you get excited and get connected with, then you try to manipulate it, or try to advance it, or low down it, or control it. So this is what again you get engaged, you get trapped with it. So not to do it, you have to understand, even if you got rid of this obsessional kind of defilements and the transgression kind, there is a layer behind called underlying tendencies, the dispositions. So only by observation, knowing they are due to the past momentum or your habituation or your deep-grained likings and disliking, they are happening, but let the whole waves to go without interfering. So I think in the meditation is the hardest thing. We are so much trained and so much conditioned, we do not know how to be, just be. So there it is being highly questioned. It is being highly put into practice. When the thing happens, you know how to get a distance and just be, just assume the status of neutral observer. And then you can see, even though you are intentionally, with chetana or with volition involved, things are happening. Under such circumstances, only the restrainment can save you. Not any involvement, no any action. So if you wish, you can say restrainment also as an action, according to your jargon, but that is the restrainment. So when you are training, you can understand, before you become mindful, before you start meditation, before you come into know the mindfulness, what was the type of mindset, what was the kind of verbal articulation you did, what was the kind of bodily usage you had. And now with respect to that, what is the kind of best restrainment you need. So therefore it is a real reconsideration. If you are to physically, verbally or mentally get involved and do something, specifically with volition, with intention, with fabrication, each and every little thing you are responsible. They never go without a trace. When that happens in the cycle next, whether you like it or not, you have to pay off. So therefore, maybe understanding that the subtlest part of the training, Arthur Schopenhauer, about 200 years ago, he wrote, each will is evil. Anything you do with your will, you are answerable. And then whole philosophical world in the West considered him as a nihilistic, destructive. Therefore, no one took enough interest. But maybe luckily or unluckily, Nietzsche, a follower, he took the point and he wrote clearly. So the Buddha mentioned, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha, Sabbe Sankhara Anicca. Sankhara means volitional involvement. Each and every volitional involvement is dukkha, leading to suffering, unsatisfactoriness. It's anicca. Whenever they are going to become otherwise, you are the one suffering. So let the passing show to pass. You just observe. So you have to understand there are universal laws. Kamma niyama, chitta niyama, bija niyama, utu niyama, dhamma niyama. If you have to understand the whole phenomena, whole panorama, without coloration, without adjustment, without manipulation, without steering, you have to see the beginning, the middle and the end. Therefore that if at all you have to do nothing. Sabba papassa karana. First, do no harm, as Socrates mentioned. This is not the advice of the Buddha. It is the advice of the Buddhas in plurality. All the Buddha says the best training is not to do any bad thing or do away with all the papa. That means don't try at least on your experimental basis, maybe a split second, maybe a second, maybe a minute, not to get involved with. And then you can understand that thought moment you are living 100%. You are not partial. You are not only seer. You are not only listening person. You are not a person smelling, touching, thinking, withdrawn back. And the mind has come to the center. So you can see the whole panorama, but not get committed, not get involved. And there is the highest training in the Cetana Sutta, the Buddha mentioned. And to come up to that, only by vipassana and going into the meditation center and you try to make a determination to not to make a determination, never work. You may be happy to have an appointment with the disappointment. Theoretically, yes. But first and foremost, you have to start with gross level, transmissional level of defilements, and it is ethically valued, ethically appreciated, not to harm others, not to harm your future, not to harm the present, not to harm yourself. Do away with transmissional kind. And then you have then again an option. With that kind of a training, you can do away with obsessional kind of defilements. It's harder, more technical, more formulas, more surrounding, and naturally the world will accuse you whenever you are practicing on this obsessional kind, you are rather selfish. This is the way our language is, this is the way our acceptance are, this is the way our norms in the world. So therefore, when and where you are practicing, as far as you are in the transgressional kind, world may appreciate you as a good civilized citizen. But when and where you are going to practice it, obsessional kind, your close relatives and the so-called Buddhists, they can't understand what you are going to do. But the Buddhists are very happy to live in this world with so much of ethics and all the kind of thing, but they never think about obsessional kind of defilements. That is what you call Buddhism. But if you are going to go Buddha Dhamma, the Buddhism, through the Buddhism you have to go in and then do, but each and every person take effort, won't be successful in this obsessional kind. And once that you succeeded, then the wisdom type, so you have to take care about volitional activities. Because avidya paccaya sankhara, as far as you have misunderstanding, ignorance, darkness, stupidity, foolishness, you get involved yourself. You will be a busy boy. Try to do something. And whatever you are going to do, never ending, as far as you are deciding. If you are an observer, and of course it has to come in the sequential way, then only you can say whether you get involved or not, world is rotated from the east to the west. And we think this is a human world, because we can talk, we can have constitution. But if you ask a cockroach, it will say it's a cockroach world. The human beings are the nasty fellows. They are the ones destroying everything, and they will be completely go against the human rights, not the cockroach rights. Telling the humans are the idiot fellows. But we don't have any listening to the cockroaches. We think we are the fellows. Unless otherwise we do research, we can't live the good future. But you have to understand, when you are busy in the research, your present moment lost. Without losing the present moment, you can't do research. Research means repetitive action of the search. Something if you find good, you want to have the maximized continuity, so you forego the present moment and think about how to get it tomorrow. So these all research done with the micca ditti, misconception, and micca sankappa, wrong kind of thoughts, you have to understand, leading for suffering. More complications. So when a person is doing moral restrainment, concentration restrainment, and at last wisdom restrainment, Buddha calls it a noble quest. It's a noble research. How to be, how to just being, doing nothing. Of course it appears like a nihilistic and unproductive and against the grain, against the social setup maybe, but it's a challenge. So the Buddha says, when and where someone is up to that point, I say, so true man, come here. This is the next you have to do. Now you are in a better position. If you are investing this kind of thing, you can enter your final destiny, where no more suffering, no more worrying, and you are not accumulating anything. Whatever available will be ceases to exist, and then that's it. So it appears very intelligent, it appears very compassionate, and then Ganaka Moggallana is asking, Bhante, when you are giving that kind of a prolific, productive, pragmatic, good instruction, does everyone go achieve the Arahanthood? But this is no. Some still achieve, some it is not. Then Ganaka Moggallana find very difficult to understand because the path is so clear. Then in order to get rid of this confusion, Buddha says, okay, I will ask a question from you, answer what you fit correct. Then he says, do you know Rajagaha? The close by capital city? He says, yes. If someone come and ask you, what is the road to Rajagaha, that particular city, you may say, when you go to this side, you will get that village, and then when you go to the next village, and then to the city, and then ultimately you can go to Rajagaha. You may give with so much of clarity. But the person who is listening, still he wished to go to Rajagaha, but he misunderstand, and when you go there, he never reach Rajagaha. And yet another person may come, he also wishes to go there, and he carefully listening, and he take meticulous understanding, and he goes to the Rajagaha. So what is your answer? How much you are responsible for the first person that is misled? Then he says, Bhante, what can I do? Rajagaha is something existing. The path is also existing. I am also here, but that particular person is not following. Then the Buddha says, exactly this is the same. And then he gives a character certificate. Then the Bhante, person those who are not really concerned about their moral restrainment. They are not much concerned about their restraining of faculties. They are not concerned about their moderation of food. They are not concerned about their wakefulness. They are not concerned about their mindfulness and clear comprehension. They are the people still staggering, still got caught up. While you are existing, while Nibbana is existing, while the path is existing, still they misled. But the people, those who really listening and meticulous, sharpening or live up to the higher grading of training of Sila, the Adhisila Sikha, that means advancement day by day and towards the moral restrainment and the restraining of faculties and moderation of the food and wakefulness and try as much as possible mindfulness. They are the people going to the destiny as you mentioned. So then he says, Ganaka Moggallana is telling, when the presentation is so good, and therefore he make a decision. He was a Brahmana family. He says, today onward, I will take refuge of the Buddha, I'll take refuge of the Dhamma, I'll take refuge of Sangha. So to the end, to the last breath, I will try my best to take three refuge and live up to that. So that means kind of a changing in his mind happens. So therefore, summarizing everything, what we have to do is, we are so better off We got so much of opportunity, and we are already to a certain amount of these qualities. That indicates if you are believing the reincarnation or rebirth, of course rebirth, you would have come from the very good destiny from the last birth. No doubt. When you go to a cancer hospital or when you go to a disabled places or other places, you can see within this world how rare to a person to get eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind intact. Very rare. And when and where someone get it, he utterly misuse it. When and where one faculty is upset, he is entertaining inferiority, he is unqualified for meditation. So being so, we individually, not without propellants of someone, not without punishment, not to get away, avoid our tax payment or nothing, we came to this path. So that is the most important thing. And the other thing is, as far as the morality is concerned, as far as the restrainment of faculties are concerned, as far as the moderation of food and wakefulness, mindfulness, and the clear comprehension, we at least know the definition. And we have our own trial and error. The only thing is tightening the belts. Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada. So, when and where you are going to do, there is no assurance that there is no mistakes can happen. The mistakes are the teacher. Because each and every mistake never destine you to the eternal hell. No. Next moment you get a fresh chance. And if you are ready to reconsider and to understand the advantages and the disadvantages, each and every moment is a new opportunity. And each and every moment you can live 100%. If you are decided to be partial, that means you are decided to be a listener, decided to be a seer, decided to be a person smelling or tasting, touching, thinking, that is the way you crucify yourself, you collapse yourself. Otherwise, when and where you live in the center of the globe of your mind, then you can see everything and feel like you are idling. But that is what we call awakening. That is what we call living in totality. So therefore that, the very precious thing we are talking about as the Nibbana, is nothing unexperienced so far. Everyone would have experienced. But we fail to understand. We think Nibbana is something glittering in up there hill, and there's a nice ladder to climb up, and when you go there you feel this and that. That kind of a dream we are to look into. But when you are closing your eyes and you feel, if you feel, yes, in this moment I am not dead, I am not unconscious, I am not sleeping, and totally I know the present moment. And that is what does it mean by the solitude. That is what does it mean by the freedom. That is what does it mean by the peace. Who the hell can rob it from me? Can someone do black magic to get me out of that moment? Can the government come and do something for me to not to go into that? Even if you put into the prison, that is there. It is your birthright. Through your rational thinking only, you become inferior. So therefore, nothing new. Exactly, it is something experienced it, but we fail to understand so much we have the sense pleasure. Sigmund Freud attributed the sex pleasure. The Buddha put it in the decent word, it was sense pleasure. We are so slave. So it is not a mistake because we are in such a society. So day by day you have to see Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada, and when you are slowly stripping them off, I can't see whether you are a person living in the household life or whether you are a male or female or in a monastic life, it is very superficial, far away criterion. More and more you understand the meaning of solitude, meaning of the peace of mind, meaning of the pleasure or of the presence that we are already endowed with. So it's a matter of the perspective. So when you keep on practicing, you will understand the sure method, or to say predictable method. Now, I know sure definitely, but maybe the starting point, few minutes or few seconds time, I can go into this solitude. Like when you are maximizing, you have to completely reconsider first and foremost what you are talking about. Your verbal deeds. Samma vacha. That is the first and foremost thing Buddha says in the Ariyatangika Magga. When and where you get the Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, that correct perspective, give little thoughts about the number of words you are talking per day. And if you have no accounts keeping, no bookkeeping, it is like you are going to fill water into a cane basket. Whatever you are going to do, it will seep off. And the second thing is Samma Kammanta. Do the thing for utility value, not for the luxury, not for the consumerization, not to go to the advertisement, not to go to the multi-million companies, multinational companies, what you are going to do. They are going to give you an ideal kind of a life. You think it is for your benefit or your well-being? No, they are for their pocket. So be responsible. Be considerate about the things you are doing physically within a day or within a week or whatever it may be, and then your livelihood. Your livelihood must not be a friction or burden to someone. It must be moderation and use the utility value. Go for the utility value, but listen to politicians, listen to economists, listen to the so-called social workers. They are going to give a dream world, assuring such a thing. As far as we are following their code, they are talking about the gross national production or per capita income. Nonsense. How the hell you can go with the gross national production? So therefore Bhutan, they express gross national happiness. UN is ready to accept it. It may be like an idiot talk about the gross national happiness, but really that is what matters. So therefore we can't change the world overnight, but we can change our little world. Samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva. So therefore even if you go home, tomorrow or day after maybe, and don't try to do it overnight. Don't try to accelerate and get everything under control in one, then that you are asking for trouble. Always you can do something better. Everything you can do in a better way. That is the immersion the philosopher mentioned. So that is the simple meaning. Anubhava Sikha, Anubhava Kiriya, Anubhava Patipada. So concluding the talk, I would say the thing we have done is more greater than we have to do. We are so lucky. So therefore don't get disheartened and think very little we have to do. Therefore Zen saying, it says, wherever you may be, you are on the way back home. So therefore hope this retreat will be very useful for you to reconsider and go for Anubhava Sikha, Anubhava Kiriya, Anubhava Patipada. With that remark, I would like to sum up today's talk as well as the series of talks. Thank you very much for listening.